According to the CIEE Exchange website, unlike other countries where studying abroad is common during high school, only about 2% of Americans get that chance every year. Have you ever had a dream so ambitious you almost thought that it couldn't happen? Well, this is a story about one of my dreams that I persevered through and that I ended up having the time of my life. And although my exchange was amazing, it definitely wasn't immaculate. There are times I had to overcome language barriers, heat, and much more. In the summer of 2024, when I obtained one of my most prominent goals of studying abroad in Japan and had the time of my life, I was at my best. The first time I heard about my exchange opportunity was in 5th grade in FACS class with Miss Rick. She was trying to get us to join SCCLA, and she was telling us that some upperclassmen had the opportunity to win a scholarship to go to Japan. Right away, being very brave and ambitious, I was like, I want to go to Japan. So my 10-year-old self went home and told my parents, I'm going to Japan. And they were like very unsure at first because they didn't even, going to a different country, they were a bit worried. And I was only 10 at the time. And it would be $10,000 if I didn't get the scholarship, which we definitely didn't have. But at the same time that year, our family also opened our homes to an exchange student of our own. His name was Andrew, and he was from South Korea. And his experiences really led me to believe that I really wanted to do this. But like I said, I was still too young at the time, so the next few years I had to work hard in school and FCCLA. I eventually became a national contender for 3 years in a row for FCCLA, getting gold in state for all 3 of those years. In the fall of 2023, I was finally able to apply. Even though I applied in the fall, I wasn't even told about my outcome until April 15th. I had to pass up multiple opportunities when I didn't even know the outcome, if I could go on the exchange or not. These include the band trip and football camp. Once I finally got accepted, I had to take many classes. These included cultural and language classes. And these were very hard because I didn't know much about Japan or how to speak Japanese. Then finally came my departure date. It came so fast and it was difficult because I made myself very busy beforehand with marching band. But I knew once my parents left me and I went through security, I felt very isolated. It was really early in the morning, so no one was at the airport. But I knew that if I didn't make some deep and meaningful connections, it would be a very hard exchange for me. Then I finally got to meet my host family. They're very nice, but it was very hard to connect at first. They were both retired parents, and we didn't have some of the same hobbies as I do have in Minnesota. Then I finally got to go to school. School was entirely different. It was huge. And most of the classes, it was one class and the teachers went from class to class. So you were in like one classroom the whole day. And it was entirely different. And I got to learn about how it's a lot more strict, the Japanese schools. And with that came how I had to go to school. School was a whole experience. I had a 30-minute walk to the train station. And then from the train station, I had to take a 10-minute train ride to the closest station to my school, followed by another 15-minute walk. This was extremely exhausting and was very hot. The humidity was very bad, but luckily I prepared by bringing short sleeve button-ups, and this really helped me. I got to go to school, like I said, and I attended multiple clubs like kendo and photography. Most of my days were just filled with drawing or doing stuff on my Chromebook if I didn't understand the lectures. But I was really happy that I was able to travel. I traveled with my family, friends, and even alone sometimes. I was in the suburbs of Tokyo, so I got to go to the Tokyo area, Bayside, and some of the hillside. Then was finally meeting my family. That was probably my highlight of my homestay, especially this kid named Kento. He was an 11-year-old who was born in America, but he always visited his grandparents in Japan every summer. So he stayed with me, and we became very close. And in a blink of an eye, my exchange was almost over. But I had still more struggles of leaving and the struggles of money. Starting off with money, it was very hard to track because of the time zone. I was essentially spending money in the future because my app wouldn't update until it reached that time in America. Then was saying goodbye to friends and family, especially Kento. How can you make meaningful and deep connections with someone and then say goodbye to them, not knowing that you might not ever see them again? Then was trying to get home. I kept on having flight delays, and it was very hard with the weather. So in the summer of 2024, when I obtained one of my most prominent goals of studying abroad in Japan, and I persevered through challenges and obstacles to have the time of my life, I was at my best. I realized that making deep connections with people truly makes memories, and sometimes you have to take a leap of faith and try something new, no matter how many obstacles and challenges you have to overcome. My name is Quintin B, and while I was in Japan, I had the time of my life, and I was at my best.